to MAHA Moms podcast. So today we're talking with Krista O'Day, and she is Director of Operations and founding member of Remnant Healthcare, along with Nurse Kimberly Overton, founder and CEO of Nurse Freedom Network and Remnant Healthcare. So I had actually met Krista through Kimberly, but it was all through the COVID in 2022 when my husband went in the hospital and all of his rights were taken away. And I wasn't allowed to go in and see him. And you were just, you fought and fought and you didn't get anywhere. So after he passed, I was introduced to a network of other widows, CHBMP, and that's how I met Kimberly Overton. And she'd be on the calls, and then she started this process of this network, originally of RNs who were tired of the sick care system and being, ordered to do things they really felt weren't right to do. And this grew into nationwide now. And I met Krista through we went to like a book club thing, and she's like, "It's me, Lori, it's Krista." I'm so excited for her to be on today because the association, the membership offers so much that we need today in healthcare. And I think it's so important because of what I personally went through. I know, how great they all are there. Remnant Healthcare is a private membership concierge nursing service providing an individualized root cause approach. Their holistic health model utilizes a holistic approach based upon functional medicine and homeopathy to assist their clients with both acute and chronic health conditions. Amazing. So I'm going to let Krista just share with you a little bit about her background too, because she's an amazing doula and she gives a lot to her clients too. So Krista, we welcome you. And Lisa and Christine, do you want to say hello?
Hello. We're both here.
Thank you so much, Lori and Lisa and Christine. It's such a pleasure to be on and speaking with you all. We all know the importance of community and building just a team of people around us, not only just individually, but also for our families and our friends, right? Of strong women. And I speak women because I feel like as women, when groups of women gather, we change the world, right? So it's just so amazing to have this amazing community building out here in New Jersey of these strong women that are here to help your family, right? And yourself, like on that healing journey and beyond, right? And just creating that ability to call somebody up and say, "Hey, I need help. Can you help me?" And being there for one another. So yes, thank you so much for having me on and talking about Remnant. So I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about how I first met Kimberly. So I was a paramedic in New York City for 17 years in 2022 when I was fired because I refused the COVID vaccine. So I worked through the whole pandemic as a 911 first responder. At the time, I was working in Staten Island. And, I was noticing what was happening in the streets and in the hospitals. And, from my 9-month paramedic program, I turned to my partner in the beginning and I said, well, what's happening out here is going against everything we were taught. This is weird. And it was at that point that I realized that there was something bigger happening and I really couldn't believe it. So after I lost my job, myself and a few others from the fire department, we formed something called Bravest for Choice. And we were kind of going to these mandate protests and things like that. And at one of them, I met Kimberly through our mutual friend, Matt Connor, who's from Bravest for Choice, who's amazing as well. And Kim started to tell me about her vision for Remnant, which was really twofold. One, she wanted a space for nurses and other healthcare providers that were currently in the system to go to be in a space where your values, ethics, and morals were honored and that you could really provide true care to people without being kind of stifled by protocols or, systemic regulations and things like that, which were really, I mean, as those who know who work in the system can be just, and that's why we understand why people are so burnt out, right? It's a hamster wheel, truly. It's a sick care system. And so that was one of Kim's ideas for Remnant. And the other was for people, for regular, everyday people looking for healthcare in a different place, right? A lot of people are losing and have lost their just trust in this system. They're starting to see the cracks in the foundation. And they don't want to be on pharmaceuticals. They don't want to be sick for the rest of their lives. They don't want to take one medication after another that creates more symptoms, more disease processes, right? That's it. So as soon as Kim was telling me about this, I said, I need to be involved in this. I must be a part of this. So we got together, and my husband, who just so happens to do website design, helped build all that stuff because, I mean, we were a team of 3. And as all of you guys know, building something from the ground up is hard work, and it comes with no pay and no, right? It's just really just working so hard, but it was driven by true passion. So we got up and running in May with a team of 5 nurses, and that was in May 2023. And now we have a team of 18. And Remnant has grown organically. So all of our members who came to us, as Lori said, we're a private membership association. So all of clients that we see must be members. We're not an LLC, so that puts us into the private realm. We kind of operate outside government reach, although we operate lawfully, right? It's like that legalese stuff is kind of not a part of our business. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and to have grown this way, and our membership grew exponentially just from word of mouth, from people coming to us for our concierge nursing services. So as Lori mentioned, we do acute and chronic conditions from pediatrics to geriatrics and everything in between. We have a pediatric nurse practitioner. We have many RNs, BSNs. We have a PhD in autism for 20 plus years. So we do PANS and PANDAS, autism, alternative cancer, gut health, hormone health. I mean, you name it. You name it, we do it. And then we also do advocacy services. So for people who are in hospital, family members in hospital, people who are looking for a professional to attend their doctor's appointments. Right. We also have done many hospital kidnapping cases, and where CPS has been called. So we appear in court for these families. We work very hard to get these children out of hospitals and back in with their families, which we have done successfully thus far. So I am so grateful for that, because as a team, and especially of women, we come together. And because we're faith-based also, we will pray. We will pray together. We will send light and love to these families, right? And we lift our clients up, right? We try not to see our clients in illness and sickness, but we try to lift them up and see them in that light of healing. And I think that's a huge part of it too, right? Like that is huge. We also do assist with directed donations for unvaccinated blood through Pure Blood Registry, who we work very closely with, and Blessed by His Blood is another blood bank of unvaccinated donors. So yeah, we are always on the move, doing something and really helping people, right? And I always tell our clients who call and ask about our services, especially our advocacy, things change when you have an RN on the phone advocating for you. The whole vibe in the room changes. People know that, oh, I can't kind of use some of those tactics that I normally use or fearmonger, because there's somebody on that line that knows the system very well. And our nurses, our team has centuries of combined experience, centuries. some of our nurses were ex-military. I mean, there's some really awesome women on our team. So yeah,
That's
that's the kind
amazing.
of remnant gist.
Coming from the complex health, with the mast cell community, and I was in a group called Minis with Masto, and it was all the parents of kids with mast cell disorder. And I can't even count on two hands how many children were kidnapped medically, and the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars they had to pay in legal fees to get the situation rectified. I could have kept you in business all those years, but
It's
I'm so glad now I know to tell them to come see you
yeah,
if there aren't any new ones.
my gosh, I know it's terrifying how CPS is being used as a
Well,
weapon.
the doctors, I think it's the emergency room doctors with the egos that won't accept a diagnosis, say that it's too rare, you don't have that, and then don't follow their protocol. So now their life's at risk. It's just a big disaster. And depending on the state, it could be worse and worse. Like Washington and Oregon,
Mm,
holy Moses, that's where most of them came from. But it's
yeah.
really, really scary. And, these people are just trying to help their kids and they're deemed as, Munchausens and all of that.
Oh
So I
my
want
God.
to say thank you because that is a huge, huge thing. So that's
Thank
awesome.
you. Yes, that's one of our main goals is to help children and their families, right? I mean, when I get a call from a mother who's crying on the other end of the line, it is all hands on deck at that point. I don't care if it's 10 o'clock at night. It's all hands on deck. We will do whatever it takes
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
call in all of the resources. And as Lori knows, Kimberly, she has spoken at conferences nationwide. She hosts a podcast, Nurses Out Loud, on the America Out Loud network. So she's widely known and has an incredible amount of connection. So we have definitely called in the team. We send out the bat signal and everybody comes because it's important to us. It really is important to us. And we also want to make these physicians or, the system know that if you're going to pull something like that, be prepared for a fight because we're going to fight for it.
That's
I,
amazing.
I
Yeah.
Wanted to say that you're national, right? So anyone listening can become a member of Remnant, so it doesn't have to just be Jersey people, correct?
Correct. Yes, Dr. Lisa. So yeah, we're nationwide, and because we're a PMA, our nurses can see anyone in any state and even in any country.
Okay,
Wow.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
really
that's
important.
amazing.
yeah,
Yes.
I love that, because with what I went through, if we only had that back then, because of how voices were taken away. So I constantly share with a lot of the RNs that I know because I'm like, get into get into something like this where so you do because sometimes I see like the videos where it's like because you guys offer, is it the schooling or what do you like the training for it?
Yeah. So for healthcare professionals and nurses looking to exit the system, we have partnered with nurse Melissa Schreibfetter, who teaches functional medicine for nurses. So she herself is a nurse and, of course, taught herself and went through schooling after her own health challenges, right? As we all kind of know, we come to these places because we've been failed by the system, right? And we've had to essentially heal ourselves or find practitioners who will listen and hear us instead of just brushing our symptoms off, especially as women, brushing them off as something, right? Or as mothers worrying about their children, right? So all of us kind of came into this because of our own experiences that we don't want anyone to have to go through that again. And I'm sure, Dr. Lisa and Christine, you see a lot of people coming to you who are sort of at the end of their rope. Sometimes we do get people who come to us from the beginning, but many people have really just gone through hell, truly, in the medical system and are just done, right? They're defeated. They feel like they have no other choice, and they find us at their worst, right?
Yeah, that's what I typically see. The most common, or the most common patient I see is someone that's been everywhere, tried everything, and is just exhausted. And they just lay all the labs in front of me and everything, which I love that they've done that, because then you're like, all right, I can rule all that stuff out. But they're just like, please help me, and they're crying. And I've been there. So like you said, our stories usually lead us to where we are.
Like,
Lori, I wanted to know if you could explain what it's like to be a member, like from, I find that fascinating when she tells me that you do the membership and then you could call them when you need things. How does that work?
And reaching out to them, and even like I'm scheduled for the surgery, but when I originally was scheduled, I reached out to Chris because it's like I want them to be part of my medical advocacy when I'm in the hospital. I requested I don't want vaccinated blood, specific things on knowing what you're signing when you go in there, knowing what you're agreeing to. And I felt like, if my kids don't realize like those things, I have someone that has the knowledge that knows what went on, that saw the things that happened in there and then can be a voice for me when if I'm even not able to answer. So I feel and just you can reach out to them like when you have an issue where you're worried because you don't feel well, but you don't want to go to the ER. But what does urgent care tell you? So there's so many times, like, because I've known Kimberly for so long too, I know her knowledge, I know where her heart is. And then when I met Krista, the connection, the most important thing to me is that they're Christian, faith-based, and the prayer. And, Lisa and I doing wellness ministry, we talked about that last night. It's if your faith, it just, and the prayer just helps so much with what people are going through. And when you're there to pray for them. So everything that connected with the way this took off, I felt this is divine intervention. It's definitely God telling us all that this is how we have to be. I mean, you can have good health insurance, but when you go to a doctor because of my allergies with pharmaceutical drugs, that they don't listen to you or your history or your background, and they right away want to give you something. And learning about functional medicine, I started with Dr. Lisa, meeting her through church, and then realizing, she looked at everything, the whole me, inside out. And she's like, you're really not that bad. And it was like the weight of the world was off my shoulders because I was grieving so intensely for what, 3 years, 2.5 years. And I thought, wow, this is really just grief that's killing me. That's knocking me down. And she gave me such a better outlook on, you could do this and you're okay. If regular doctors, they wanted to put me on the blood pressure medicine, they wanted to, throw me on the drugs. And I'm like, no. Now I tell them, no, I'm going to a functional medicine doctor. I'm learning about homeopathy through Christine, which blows me away. My anxiety and when I couldn't sleep, and she's like, just try these both. And I was like, oh, I slept.
Did
I
it
didn't.
help? Like, did it help with the grief, that one that I had told you
Yeah,
about?
because I have like and I'm not a person who has panic attacks, but when the anxiety, you realize, it's an issue. And now with dealing with this upcoming surgery, so she's helped me with that, and she gives her advice to me freely, which I appreciate. But I feel like, boy, God has really, with this whole thing, the group, and this is where I want my clients, my friends, my family to be educated on it, to know like, okay, well, what are your copays now? You could be in this membership, an annual fee, and you have full access to them when you need to talk to them, when you need to find out a specific thing, if you're going in for surgery or you're going in for whatever the procedure is. So I just feel you guys are invaluable. Like it just, to me, this is a no-brainer. So
More people need to know about it because I've been looking for an advocate like that. My mast cell doctor, I don't need her anymore. And I don't really, my primary care, but I need somebody. My husband can't help. Like, he's just not, and I have this intense history, and, so I've been looking for somebody that if I'm unconscious can help, make decisions. So that's
And,
very,
and the one thing too, even when you talked about hospice, Krista, and
Wow.
when my
Mhm.
dad was dying, and it's, they want to be at home, but you're really working with the family in allowing them to leave their physical body with dignity, and not to be where you're not allowed to see them only certain hours. Like, I would go in the hospital and my dad would be there naked. They weren't taking care of him. And then if you could share a little bit about hospice, because I felt that was a huge thing too. So,
Yes, absolutely. We also offer hospice and home care services, and we do offer to our team if they would like to go out and provide in-person care. That is up to each of our team members if they have the availability, of course, and we support that 100%. But a lot of it too is just assisting the family in navigating, right, how to set up hospice if that's what you want, how to perhaps maybe get home health aides or someone to be in the house, or how to care for a loved one as they're transitioning into death. And just this week, Lori, I assisted a neighbor who was elderly. She had lost her son about 2 years ago. And, since then, she kind of given up. Um, and I would check in with her and then call her and make sure and we would chat on the phone for an hour and a half. I'd sit with her in her living room while her little chihuahua would bark at me incessantly. But little Lily. But you know, I spoke to her last week and I said, "Oh my gosh, what a difference." And she says, "Krista, there's not much time." So for the last 6 days, actually, she passed on Wednesday morning. I was over her house, cleaning it, taking care of it, moving her into the living room on a mattress so that she can be comfortable lying flat so the dog can get up and down, right? Arranging home care for her. And she had told me before, "Krista, please, I do not take me to a hospital. Do not do that." And I said, "You have my word." So I made sure that she died with dignity in her home, and I was all prepared, Christine, with homeopathy to assist her in that death process because hospice was not yet set up. It was taking them a few days. They had a few things legally to go through, power of attorney stuff, right? So these things happen. We were able to get a wonderful home health aide to come in the interim and live there for a few days so that at least someone had eyes on her because she had no family, right? So it was just, that was my goal. And it's pretty amazing, right? As on the side also, I'm also a birth doula. So I witness mothers in their power when they transition into motherhood and birth their children. And I feel that birth and death are one and the same, truly. I feel like those are the two times in our life where God is so close to us. And I witnessed, Pat's transition into death, and just being there and being with her and allowing her the peace also, right? As we know, just like in birth, right? Death, we want quiet, peace, darkness, right? Often these things kind of kick off in the middle of the night and the wee hours of the morning. So it's really about just allowing people to live and die how they choose, and giving them the information they need to make these decisions and supporting them whatever decision they make all the way to the end. So yeah, that was just this week actually that I did that. She's a lovely woman.
God bless
I'm
you.
sorry for your loss, but
You.
what a difference you made in her life and her family's. So that's incredible.
I'm just so happy that I could have done that for her, that she trusted in me to do that. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we want to do, right? Have people trust us and be transparent and trustworthy so that when you tell us what you want as an advocate, right, we will make sure that your goals and needs get accomplished no matter what.
And it's
I
so
don't know
true
how you do
because
this with all,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't know how you do this with just 18 people. That's incredible. So
Yeah.
if you're, let us know if you're recruiting, we'll get the word out.
Yeah, totally. We're always, for any nurses or any healthcare providers whatsoever, we are always, send me an email. I'm happy to send you information on how to get started, because we're a service of entrepreneurs, if that makes sense. So we don't sort of hire nurses. Of course, we vet everybody in our team, and most of the time people who want to join us are like-minded and very strong people, right? And we really support each individual team member to really flourish in their community, right? To provide that community care, the boots on the ground. And then we have the team on the back end when there are complicated cases. So it's not just one provider that you're seeing. You actually have a team behind them saying, try this, take a look at that. What about this? Check this study out. So there's always support, always with each other. And a lot of our team members just sit in on calls with clients and just to learn new things. Some of our clinical coordinator, Nurse Grace Defee, is incredible. She is, oh my God, a wealth of knowledge and information. So she mentors a lot of the team members that come on. It's really just, it's such an amazing, for me, to be part of such a group of powerful women. Like when it just brings me so much joy, like really, like in my heart, to just even sit in a room with them. And we have bi-monthly meetings where we do case studies. Sometimes we have amazing guest speakers, people talking about a new product or some new information. Just recently, we had Affirming Reality. These two women, Gabrielle and Dr. Nikki, come on and talk to us about pretty much almost a reparenting group to help with families who have children who believe that they want to transition to a boy or a girl or what have you. And they come in and help the parents kind of regain control of their family, right, in a loving way, and give that confidence to themselves, like, this is your family, like you can bring it in, you can reclaim your child again, right? So, I mean, we just meet such amazing people who do such incredible work that really focus on the family unit, which of course we all know is under attack, right? And parenting and parents and families are just under attack, right? So I feel like we have to protect that also at all costs. So finding also someone that's like-minded in your values and ethics, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yes.
And for those of us who kind of are our beliefs are outside of the mainstream system, we want to operate with other people who share our values, right? Because that's how we feel safe. Because when we often go into the mainstream, it is unsafe for us. It is unsafe. We have to be very careful about what we say, how we say it, especially with young children, as Christine mentioned before, right? How many times CPS was called medical kidnappings. We have to be so careful. So knowing that you have people at your back who are like-minded and share your values, who can also operate within the system in an intelligent way to protect you, is huge.
I like the part too, because there's two things you brought up that I was like, oh my gosh, having a membership would be so amazing. Because one is, even I'm doing my functional here, I don't have the team. I don't have people to listen and refer to and say, hey, what do you think? Is there something you can add? Christine and I try, with our patients, we try to we do that together. But
Yeah.
there's not this, right? Christine is a big team, and I've always had this vision where you could just like, I know it's all Zoom, but like you could walk into somebody's office and just go, hey, I've got this case, like, what do you think? Or I can walk into a conference room and just, we all talk about, how to bring this together. And one of the other problems that it's just the way the system's set up, every patient that comes in here, none of the doctors talk to each other. Like
Right.
I just had a patient that he had parasite. He's 79 years old. So he's on a ton of drugs. So I said, I'd like you to take this note that I wrote to the doctor. I'd like you to take this to your medical doctor. This is my plan of action. and I want to make sure he's okay with this. And, you know, I just want to be able to talk. Well, that guy was like, oh, she's a kook and he wanted nothing to do with me. And I was just like, you know, some of these herbs might mix with some of the medication. So I was trying to be, you know, proactive here. But a lot of times I get that pushback, like I'm the kook and I don't know anything. And I said, the sad thing is this doctor that's like putting me down also isn't speaking to the kidney doctor, who's not talking to the oncologist because he had prostate cancer, and the oncologist, you know, isn't talking to the cardiologist. So I was just like, you can poo-poo whoever you want, Mr. But like none of you are speaking to each other. So this man is being like treated as like 4 different parts, you know, instead of the whole. And it's just like it's ugly, you know?
It is.
And it's just ugly. And he's just like, I don't know. That makes me sad that the way the system is. And my son has been in the hospital for 2 weeks. So even when I was there, I know most moms, if they listen to this, are going to hear it. There's something about it, the way they talk to you, that you almost don't, you have, even me, I mean, I did pretty well, but I almost had this fear of like, oh, I have to listen to them. Like it's just not a friendly environment. I didn't feel God within the room. I felt very cold. He was there for 2 weeks and constantly like going to the chapel and trying to pray. And I don't know. I think you need advocacy there. You need somebody to be with you. It's just not, they were, you know, the vaccination thing came up about pneumonia, you know, not even COVID. And it was just this fight constant every day. And I was just like, what is this? I said, no, go away, stop. But it's not like that. So that's the two things I was listening and thinking about being in the field for 30 years, that you offer, the fact that all the doctors and practitioners are talking and nurses are talking together and working together. I think that's phenomenal. We just don't have that. It doesn't exist. And the other thing is there is no there's no one there for you as the parent in the hospitals. So they're just not. I've been there twice and I don't know. Even when you go to the pediatrician, I stopped doing that very soon on because they kept making me feel like a bad parent because I wasn't vaccinating my children, my kids, you know, it was just a constant struggle and they couldn't prove that they were safe. They wouldn't sign anything. My husband was like, sign this paper. If something happens, you'll take responsibility. And they were always like, oh no, I don't do that. And it's like, well, just leave it alone, drop it. Let us just come. And then I realized, what am I coming in here for, you to weigh him? I can do that. Like, it's just silliness, you know? And but I know that feeling that they make moms feel that they are dumb or I'm the doctor, I don't know why you're challenging me, and they make me feel like that. So that's where I think we make these rash decisions, because we're just like, oh, but I let him do it, but I was against it, but I didn't know what to say, or they didn't listen to me, or whatever. So
totally. And moms I always say, show me a mother who has a sick child and they will tell you everything about that disease process. And I will trust that woman more than the doctor in the room, because she's going to know more than that guy in the corner. 100%. And that's, I think, too, right, Lisa, like how parents and mothers specifically are kind of just, oh, you don't know, you're not a doctor. Well, yeah, well, you are. But like, you know, it's almost like, well, I know my child. First of all, my child was a part of me. Now you're saying that I don't know what's going on with my child. And I feel like that even starts at birth, right? It's kind of teaching women to not trust in their instincts, their intuition, that they have the most knowledge of their child than anybody else, anyone else. Because you are still one. I don't care how old they are. You are still one with them. That intuition never goes away, right? Like, Lori, no matter how old your kids are, right? Like, you know when something is up. You know, you feel it in your body. So I think that is where a lot of parents, when they have to go into that system for whatever, for an emergency situation, right? Or a situation that cannot be handled in the home setting, that's where an advocates are so important and needed, so that before things get out of hand, right? Before they like steamroll parents who are just, you know, in that fear state also, right? You're in that fear state where decision making may not be right because you're terrified. And to
Yeah.
have like somebody with a clear mind, right, who's not emotionally involved to help guide you through the process and be there to answer any questions and speak to the staff on your behalf is huge to avoid any potential issues, right? That if you decline an intervention and then they're going to say, well, are you saying you don't care about your child, right? They twist it. And not everybody, and I don't want to make it seem like it's everybody, but we just have to be right for us who are operating outside of the system. We have to just know that when we go into somebody else's playground, it is best to have somebody, a professional, on standby so that you can easily reach out to them when things start to get a little bit hairy.
Exactly.
'Cause
Exactly. There's
I
options.
thought even with the, with COVID that
Mhm.
it would have been the way it was, but we talk a lot about with our faith that, I feel like God knew what this was going to expose. And I think it really woke up a lot of people to realize they're really not out for my health and well-being, that it was all money incentives and all these hospitals putting wings on. And like you said, they're not all bad. And there were nurses. When my husband was in the hospital, there was one nurse, Nicole Starr. She was amazing. And she said to me, I'm praying for your husband. And she said I would even go home. I wouldn't say his, last name, but her daughter, she had a small daughter, and she was praying for him. And I would always ask for her. And they're like, you can't, we can't request once he was moved off the COVID floor. But when you see it right up front like that, like looking back on it, I can't believe what happened and how it happened and what they did. And I was helpless. And that's awful when you feel that way. So to me, is my health insurance helping me with any of that? Absolutely not. They're wanting the nurse to come into my home to check me in my home and then say, and I know people where this has happened, that the nurse will say, well, you've got high blood pressure. Why aren't you on medication? Or your cholesterol's, why aren't you on statins? And they call the doctor who I'm treating with. Like I treat with a nurse practitioner and I treat with Lisa for my functional medicine. And they get involved in between and say, why don't you have them on that? So whenever they call, I'm like, you are not coming in my home. I treat with a functional medicine doctor and I have my nurse practitioner, and you are not coming in my home. But they look at me, I'm 65 years old and I'm not on any prescription drugs. What's going on? We want to,
Mhm.
Keep trying.
yeah.
But they
They keep
really don't
trying.
want to know because because I'm I have Medicare because of becoming disabled from my reactions and stuff. And I went to my yearly, you know, I haven't needed to go to the doctor since I took homeopathy classes. So I only go for this yearly like checkup, but you have to sign a form that says that you're not going to talk about your health issues because that's a separate thing. You're only here to like listen to our sales pitches. And then they sat there and beat me up about my colonoscopy and my mammogram and my, all these things. And I'm like, I'm high risk. I have Ehlers-Danlos. I'm not getting scoped if I don't have any problems. Like, I'm not doing it. Next morning, 8 o'clock, I had a Cologuard test on my front porch. Like, that's how disgusting it is.
Wow.
So there are all these people that are being violated every day going to their yearly appointment. It's really, really upsetting.
It's
And so,
literally
uh,
harassment. My sister and
yeah.
I were just talking about the Cologuard boxes keep showing up at her house, and it kept showing up at my house. And we didn't realize she talked to the UPS guy. I thought my midwife I told her no, but I thought she just sent it like, yeah, Lisa says no to most of this stuff. So it popped up and it sat there forever until my husband was like, just do it already and get it out of the house. Right. And I was like, no. Right. So I just thought Barbara just sent it to the house as a joke. She had retired, so I never got to be able to talk to her about it. But my sister said that she was talking to the UPS guy because my sister, it keeps showing up for her house. She won't do it. And the guy goes, my sister returned it. She was trying to be sweet. She actually goes and returns it. I go, oh my gosh. So, but it keeps showing up. So she keeps returning it. So she sees the UPS guy and she runs outside and goes, "This might be really embarrassing, but can you stop delivering this?" And he goes, "Listen, do you know how many of these things I carry around?" She's like, "I can't stand them, especially when they have poop in them, you know?" So they're laughing hysterically. But here's what he said. He's like, "You have to deny it through him." She had to like say no to the UPS guy. And he's like, "Thank you, because I'm tired of bringing this to your house, you know?" But he really hates return. Imagine being a UPS guy and you had to carry the one around with poop in it all day long, or 4 or 15 of them on your truck. Like, just harassment.
Relentless.
Like, so she said, "Oh, I finally figured out. So if anyone's listening, if you keep getting that dumb box and you're tired of it, you have to tell your UPS person no, and they'll stop." But and
Wow.
I didn't tell my midwife, and she did not tell her doctor yes. We said no, but you're in the system as a certain age, and so you're going to get harassed with all these boxes. It's constantly coming until you do it. It's crazy.
Imagine the
You're
amount of
selling
money.
your data or something, right? Like, how does this company, I forget the name of the company for Cologuard, but how does that company even know my stuff? 'Cause the doctors are giving the information? I'm not sure.
The insurance companies, who knows? I mean, insurance companies, we can get on a whole other
It's a whole nother podcast.
Yes, I know.
hour for that one. You know, Kimberly says that it's just one big Ponzi scheme. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
what my husband said, the big pyramid.
yeah, yeah.
That's what got me when I did medical billing for 13 years.
Mm.
And you see the things that
Mhm.
go on and how you're trained with. So I scrutinize every little thing, and that's with Scott. And I fought so hard to try and get what the hospital billed Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield. I kept saying, I want the ICD-10 codes. I want the CPT codes. I want to see what was billed because I don't think all that was done. They refused. And they told me to go to New York, right? I had to call New York because it was union insurance. Then they referred me back to the DA in New Jersey. I mean, they had me, and I wound up, I'm like, they don't want me to have these records. So it's their, the insurance company is just as, you're letting them bill, you're not asking any questions. And then we're billed for things. So I saw all that firsthand and I knew what was going on. So when my husband, the medication and the stuff and how I was totally kept in the dark, I'm like, all right, Lord, there's got to be, a better way. There's got to be. And then all of a sudden, I met you, I met Lisa, I met Christine, and I'm thinking, boy, this is definitely God saying, this is what I'm doing. We're providing, we're developing this community of people that care about God's given gifts, the vegetables, the plants, the things that we can cure ourselves with, the homeopathy, all the things that are natural, that don't cause side effects and don't have you on drugs for the rest of your life. So I just feel like I'm so excited about everything that we do because I think everything we do, it opens the doors. I couldn't wait for Christine to finish with the homeopathy because I'm like, oh, I have so many people that, like what Lisa did and that meeting Remnant. So I just feel like this is really, we'd love to have more of that around here because Ocean County is big time senior developments. Their age and it's educating them about, especially with the dying with dignity and the hospice where they don't come in and just so I'm looking forward to the growth of that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great books. You probably have read them, Krista. American Way of Birth and The American Way of Death. And it's written by the same person. And I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
I remember you telling me about this last time.
Oh my gosh. I can't, yeah. If you guys want to understand where we're all coming from, read those 2 books. Didn't realize that they were as old as they are. And I didn't realize that there was an American Way of Death until I was watching something. They were talking about JFK's assassination and how when they were doing the funeral, they absolutely refused to do it the traditional way. And it was because they had read this book. And that's when I was like, hey, how far back does this book go? Because when I read it in chiropractic school and didn't really pay attention to the year and who wrote it and all that stuff, I just read it. And it just talks about this system that was set out for birthing, and to me, again, separating you from God, right? So
Yeah.
what we do to women and how we've made it a business, and how women, we've disempowered them to be able to birth their own children. And then death, we've we've made that a huge business too, and we've taken away that power again of you to be able to pass with dignity. And the books are amazing because you can't read it and can't unread it after you read it. And it was what made me realize I'm definitely having a home birth, and and I'm going to use a doula. So like, we could have you back on. I would love for you to talk about that, because another podcast. But I talked to a few people when I was having a home birth, and I've been at a few before I did this. And that's when I saw it, I was like, this is what I'm doing. It's kind of like, when you see the place you want to get married, you're like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, I just knew I was having a baby at home. And my point is that when I was telling people, especially my medical friends, people in the family that are medical doctors, or my friends that were medical doctors, they were like, why? Or a nurse that was really kind of stuck in this. We're young, in our 20s. And they'd be like, on purpose? Like, or if I said, oh, I had a home birth, people go, on purpose? Or did it just like, you didn't make it to the hospital? And I was like, what do you mean on purpose? So I was like, I've never felt in my entire life more connected to God. I can't tell you the experience I had. I know it was so spiritual. And if you ever want to feel, I'm telling you, like that whole thing, it was just, I felt my soul, my spirit, and I just knew, like, it's so spiritual. I'm sure when you die, it is just as spiritual. But I'm sure if you're in the hospital with the plugs and the beeping and the, and the fighting and the yell, like, just, I don't want to die that way either. I want to die at home. I already know that I'm going to be one of those people that are like, nope, at home, because I want it to be my spirit leaving. And so
that's why I feel the Remnant Healthcare is
yes, that's what I mean. What you do just as a living is beautiful, but the Remnant bringing it all together is just amazing. And then also Remnant allowing you to have that dignity through your life, not just birth or death. Like, it's just that should be there at all times. And I'm not putting down home births. I mean, hospital births. I still think that we could do it more natural in the, you hear these doctors. I've got a golf game. I've hung out with them. I've been at these parties where they're on their pager and they're just like, yeah, I got to go birth a baby, and I'm like, what? The nurse is doing a job right now while you're here having beer,
Totally.
My midwife stayed with me for 3 days. Like, she wasn't leaving, so it's just a different experience. You have those women, and it's women. The men just somehow disappear. I'm sorry, I'm getting off my little tangent, but the women were, I mean, Louise, if you're listening to this, she knows my birthing experience. Like, she was my rock, but she said I taught her stuff too.
Of course. Right. It's always an honor to be in that space, right? In birth and death, like,
so spiritual, beyond anything I've ever experienced.
So Krista, can you just tell us, how do people go about joining, getting
how do they contact you? How do they sign up?
So you could visit our website at remnanthealthcare.org, and you can and you could view just what we're about, some of our services. And you could sign up for membership. It's $30 a month to start. You could cancel at any time, right? We just make it like real easy. We are not in the business of like robbing people. We do not believe in that. We just, have our membership fee to keep the doors open, so to speak, and to keep operations running. But we're here really, like, if you, want to support and continuing to support after you received care, great. But if not, that's cool too, right? And then you have access to purchase additional services such as the concierge nursing, advocacy services, acute COVID care, prevention, vaccine injury, PAMS PANDAS, hospice and home care, right? And then we also just kind of linked up with Talk to a Nurse, where our nurses put in off-hour times that if you have an emergency situation or just have this burning question, like, should I go to the hospital? What do you think? Where you're able to talk to a nurse directly, a Remnant nurse as a member, not somebody else one of the Remnant team members, and they can help you figure out on whether or not this is an emergent situation, some other things to do, and then you can even continue care with them after that call. So we are always looking to just expand and offer services to our members that are quick and easy, right? When somebody calls with an issue, we try to get them with a provider within within 24 hours, sometimes less. Advocacy is definitely very quick, within an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours tops, depending on the urgency too, of course. But for most cases, you're talking to somebody within a day and spending an hour on the phone with them for an intake. And now you have that continuity of care with this person who knows you, that you could reach out via email. I mean, right? We're just taking it back to what healthcare was at one point, and we're trying to get back to that space.
And
that's
now if there's,
because you try to get in with a doctor, or
Right.
3 months from now, you're like, wait a
Right.
minute, I need now. I have the rash now, or I have the problem
Right.
now. They're like, well, I'm sorry, we can't get you in for 3 months.
Exactly.
and now
And
if
then you
there's
have
like,
what, 5
there's,
minutes,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, if
Oh, they
there's,
spend 2 seconds with you. Yep.
Right.
yeah, listen, I know that right now, getting ready for surgery. I'm like, I call Lisa and I vent to her all the time because I'm like, Julie.
Crazy.
What about the people, the professionals? So the nurse RNs, like homeopathy, functional medicine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where
So
do we
even if
go?
you're not functional medicine trained, contact me. My email, info@nursefreedomnetwork.org. We are currently having a bundle package with Melissa's course and to become a Remnant team member. So I could send you all that information as well, or just, and there's never any pressure to like everybody I speak with, whether it's a professional looking to join the team or even, just a client, I always just say to people, I give them information because I usually triage everybody that comes through, and I give them as much information as I could possibly give them. And I always say there's never any pressure. If you're ready, we're here. If not, no worries. Like, I don't want it to feel like, ugh,
I think you are like the best kept secret. And I think there's a lot of people that are looking for services like this that don't even know they're available. And I'm going to share this video in my mom's groups because I can't even tell you how many of them have had emergencies come up and they're terrified to go to the emergency room with their child because they didn't follow some of the medical decisions that are more mainstream. And now they're like, oh my God, I have to go. And they're like, making a post to all the other moms trying to find some kind of like information from them, and to have you be the buffer would be so huge, and it's so affordable, like holy Christmas. So
Yeah.
I just thank you
Wish this
because
existed, but it does, right? So you'd be with a
yeah,
bunch of
I'm
like-minded moms and like, just if we had this one thing, and meanwhile we do. We just need
Yeah, we do.
we
We
do.
do.
We do.
We do. So our
Love-
membership, and then we have like our other services that you could purchase in addition, but we tried to keep it extremely reasonable because we know that financial difficulties are real, and we always try to keep that in mind. Sorry, my phone is dying.
oh no,
It's okay.
Going to
you talked your ear off.
Sorry to run. No, it's all good. I probably should have had some foresight. Dog.
That's okay.
Yes.
I want to thank you for so much for having us on once your head comes back to the picture.
Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to have her back on to talk about the doula and the homeopathy and like all that stuff too.
Yeah, I would love to have you back on and talk about you and your doula and your homeopathy and how you integrate it all, because just fascinating. And I had referred a few people to you already. I don't know if they contacted you, but having
Thank
had births, or at least natural births, I really want the younger women to be able to know how to connect with that and why. It's just so great. So if you don't mind, we'll have you back on for that.
Absolutely. I would love that. Thank you so much, ladies, for this opportunity and to chat. It's been such a pleasure.
You
Thank
are welcome. Thank you for
You're
coming.
amazing.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Amazing.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good day.